Hello, everybody. It is Tactful Thursday. Not just Thirsty Thursday, but Tactful Thursday too. That's my focus for today. How to be more tactful in my communication. Well, anyway, I pray that you're having a wonderful day that is constructive, that is aligned with your purpose and your partnerships and your priorities and your principles. That's right. All of that good stuff. And that you're just having a really great day. That's my prayer for all of you. My name is Dr. Wanita Mercer. I am the founder and chief heart leader at Leap My Heart Executive Coaching and Consulting. And you're watching the series for this month, the second one actually, called The Spiritual Journey of Leadership. And today we're going to be getting into episode number 2. So if you are just now watching for the first time, then you need to go watch also episode number 1, okay? Because it all goes together, and I certainly don't want you to miss anything. But you know what I want you to do also, and that is to engage with me, okay? Let me know that you're here. Like the video, share it on your timeline, tag some friends, tag some loved ones, tag your coworkers, tag your leaders, okay, tag your whole team and say, hey, you got to check this out. And then I also want you to comment, say hello, ask questions, also impart information. Okay, won't you join me in teaching this? If there's some experiences that you want to share or just some other information, feel free to get in that comment section. And then also react. Throw up those likes, throw up those hearts, those sad faces. If I say something that you don't like, go forward. Go for it. Okay, I'm not going to try to dictate how you react to the videos, but I do want you to engage. And then, of course, those of you who are watching on YouTube, do me a favor. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, okay, so that you can become a follower of Lead My Heart and just stay in the know of what's going on. And one way to help you do that is to also ring that bell. And by ringing that bell, you're going to get notifications when I'm live. So you don't miss any of the good stuff, okay? All right. So, how about we just go ahead and get into today's episode where we're talking about the 3 perspectives of leadership. The 3 perspectives of leadership. Now, I do want to kind of set the tone here, the baseline of information for those of you who may not have watched episode number 1 first. And yesterday we talked about, I'm going to zoom in here. Don't worry, I'm still here. I'm going to, because I want you to see everything pretty well. And I forgot to do this yesterday, so I apologize. But the important thing to know about spirituality, and spiritual leadership is this key thing here, and it's understanding that we are spiritual beings. We are spiritual beings, and I love a quote saying that, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and it's so true. We were first created as spirit in the image of God. And so by knowing that we're spiritual beings, then we as leaders are spiritual leaders. We lead spirits. We lead hearts. Okay, we don't just lead people or employees or stakeholders, community members. We lead hearts. And so by acknowledging this crucial factor as to the core of who we are as human beings, this is the beginning of effective leadership, y'all. Indelible leadership, the kind of leadership that leaves an impression on people, that transforms lives, that transforms environments and organizations, and it helps people to live a more fulfilling life. That's what we're talking about here. And it begins with acknowledging that we are spiritual beings. And then I'm just going to briefly talk about spiritual leadership and understanding the kind of a summary or the core of what we believe as spiritual leaders, so that as I go into the 3 different perspectives, you have that in the background, right? You have that as schema that you're understanding, okay, with each different perspective that we're going to talk about, this is what we believe, okay? And so spiritual leadership is intrinsic motivation, okay? It starts from the inside out. And it's the ability, having the power and capacity to motivate people and inspire people and a vision of service. A vision of service. And I want to read this verse from Matthew chapter 20, verse 26, where Jesus is speaking. And Jesus says, "Whoever wants to become a great among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first must be your slave." So we're seeing some variations, some levels here, right? We're seeing that great is to serve, but to be first, to be a slave. So it's like to be the lowest of the low, the most humble, the most submitted. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. And so, as we model ourselves after Christ, I do, I pray that you do too, or after, your God, Jesus is a great example. I don't care whether you see him as your Lord and Savior or not. You can't dispute, I don't feel like, the fact that Jesus, being a man, a prophet, the Son of God, okay, in his humanity, while also being God, right, as his divinity, but in his humanity, it would be really hard to dispute the fact that he was a servant first, that he served people, that he humbled himself, and that he didn't have his life taken, but he gave it. He gave it freely. He laid his life down for us all. Whether you accept him or not, he did it. It doesn't change history, whether you believe it or not. But we see Jesus as a model of humility, of servanthood. And so, if you're familiar with the leadership theory of servant leadership, you see how it's not one or the other. As you'll see with a lot of theories here as regarding leadership, is that when you first acknowledge that we're spirit and that each human being has a different spiritual experience and their different journey, to acknowledge that, I kind of want you to see me when I say, and I'll go back to it. To acknowledge that is to first, say that, gosh, I realize that we're all different. We all have the same needs regarding purpose and partnership, calling a community, mission and membership. We all have that same need. But how we achieve those things is a different spiritual journey for us all. So by acknowledging that we're spiritual beings on our spiritual journey, then that's going to help me as a leader to get to know you and understand how I can partner with you in helping you execute your purpose, how I can help you in building partnerships. And I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit in the content, but this is important because by acknowledging that each person has a different spiritual journey, that's going to help me tap into understanding how to best lead you through spiritual leadership, through servant leadership, through transformational leadership, by situational leadership, and all these other type of theories that provide great strategies in leading people. But it first comes by understanding what your followers' need is. Okay? And so let's get back into this where we see it as a vision of service to do what? Okay? The priority is to foster efficacy, helping others and even ourselves to believe that we have the capacity to do what needs to be done. To foster commitment, loyalty, responsibility, accountability in what we do and how we do it to foster productivity, a good work ethic, the ability to deliver, to perform at a high level, but then also an overall spiritual well being, hitting all the dimensions of wellness, which I believe we're up to nine dimensions of wellness. Not just spiritual, not just mental, not just physical. Oh, no, so much more than that. Occupational, intellectual, social, financial, creativity, and how we think and explore. So it's being whole, really having the ability to achieve that that self-actualization, that fulfillment that we all desire and seek. Okay. And so the three values, aside from spirituality and this nurturing that inner life that we all have, is that hope or faith. The only difference between hope and faith is that your hope is in a higher being. My hope is in God. And because my hope is in God, that's where my faith is also, because I don't just trust and depend on what I see, but also what I don't see. It's hope for better things and better days to come. And then we have vision, where hope is tied into what we look forward to ahead, that there is more to come, that I do have a future, meaning I'm a part of it. I'm a part of what's to come, and that there's a vision for that. There's a dream that is also embedded in mission and purpose. But then we also value altruistic love, the kind of love that's not selfish, the kind of love that says, you don't owe me anything, but I give it freely. That kind of love. And so those are the three values that, as we're talking about these three different perspectives, that we need to hold on to. Okay. So, what are the three different perspectives of leadership? Well, we're all familiar with leadership in the most general terms, which is how we lead others. It's that practice, okay, of leading, of encouraging, motivating. We're going to get more into that in just a second. But then we also have followership. And followership has begun to be talked about a lot more in administration studies, or organizational development studies, and so on, management business. If you've had any type of um, studies or been in school in any of these type of disciplines in the last probably 20 years, then you're familiar with followership. And it's understanding that if there's no one following you, okay, then there's there's or should I say, let me put it this way. Yeah, if there's no one following you, you're not a leader. Yes, okay. That's what I was gonna say. I'll just say that. But the other thing we have to understand is that leadership is in fact a partnership between the leader and the follower. There's an agreement there. There's a contract. There's a covenant that exists. Okay, especially in the most spiritual terms, where you understand the responsibility and the heaviness that comes with being a leader. As God has called leaders, God has ordained leaders. And so I even like to go, I'll take it there, that it's not a light thing. And then we have what has been talked about more probably in the last maybe 10 or so more years. Um, you won't see the term heartpreneurship. That's something that I kind of coined. But you might hear personal leadership. Okay. And I'm not going to say there are not other people calling things heartpreneurship. I'm not going to say that. But it's definitely something that I gravitated towards because of my company and dealing with the heart. Because it's understanding that we're all spiritual beings, that we all must lead the heart, but not just in how we lead others, not just in how others lead us, but in how we lead ourselves. because we have a responsibility to ourselves to make the right decisions, to question what we do and why we do it. And that's a biggie. And we're seeing we need to talk about this more because we're seeing less and less, it seems, personal leadership, heartpreneurship. Okay. And we have to understand that until we lead ourselves, how can we lead someone else? So let's get into this leadership. Leadership. And there's three different strong components or elements. I'm not going to say it's the an end all, but I would say when I think of leadership, the main three elements I think about, or should I say characteristics demonstrated in effective leadership, is power, influence, and motivation. Power. We love the word power, but really it's just a great word that has a really positive connotation to talk about someone's capacity or ability to act or execute. That's all. We're just talking about capacity and ability. But we love the word power, and I do too. We're going to use the word power. But then there's also influence, which is the power to affect another's character, development, behavior, or decisions. Think about that. That's what influence really is the power to do that. And then motivation, the power to foster one's willingness to execute or change. We often talk about power, we often talk about influence, but rarely do we really talk about a leader's ability to inspire and motivate others to change. Because that's really what we want to be able to do. Why change? Not in a negative connotation as we often see it, because not all change is bad. Change is needed, it's necessary, it's good. But change to bring people in alignment with the mission and vision of an organization. Change to help people be more compatible in how they work together. To change in order to have a more open mind towards the possibilities of what they're able to do and what the team is able to do, what you're able to accomplish together. That's what we want to inspire and motivate people to do and have the ability to change for. Okay. And so when we're talking about leadership, we can look at it in three different ways: the role of a leader, the responsibilities of a leader, and the outcomes of a leader when with regards to spiritual leadership. And that is number one, understanding that the leader is the leader of spiritual beings. And we're talking about executive leaders, the middle managers, the supervisors, the visionaries, the thought leaders. But you know who we're really talking about? The chief servant. As a leader, no one should outserve you. And that requires lots of humility on your part. But it's the truth. No one should outserve the leader. Okay? Let's think about that. You don't have teams of people around you to serve, 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 and do everything you want and boss them around. That's not the heart of a spiritual leader, an effective leader. You have to be the chief servant. And then when it comes to our responsibilities as spiritual leaders, our main responsibilities are to encourage spiritual beings to identify their calling, their purpose, their mission, to identify that, to help put them on the right path to connecting with the right people or taking the right assessments or having time for deep reflection or a place where they can go and pray and just have a moment to meditate and to exercise these spiritual practices to help them identify what it is that they're supposed to be doing with their life and to partner with them Okay, and executing their calling and building community. Because again, those are the two things that every heart desires: calling and community. And so, as a spiritual leader, we just partner with you in doing that. We don't make you do it. Okay, we can't dictate necessarily let you do it, but we just partner with you in helping you to execute it. And then to manage the triple bottom line. And we're going to talk more about the triple bottom line tomorrow in episode number 3. But the triple bottom line, if you're not familiar with this term, is the three main, how can I say this? It's the three main priorities. I think I'm comfortable saying that. The three main priorities of organizations: your people, the planet, and your profits. And depending on who you are, you might put those in different order, okay? Um, but again, we're going to talk more about that tomorrow, so I'm not going to get too detailed here. But we need, as spiritual leaders, we have a responsibility to manage all three: the people, the planet, and profit, okay? And then what can we expect by doing this? Well, those outcomes are enhanced organizational commitment and performance from your, you know, not only you, but your followers, every person who's a part of it. Less leader centric approach to strategic planning. You realize it's not all about you. In fact, it's very little about you, but how you work together as a team with the people around you. And then also, it enhances followership. It doesn't diminish it. It doesn't eliminate it. Of course not, right? We enhance it. So then we have followership. Okay. And the three main elements, or should I say characteristics of followership, is submission, collaboration, and execution. Submission, collaboration, and execution. Okay. As a follower of a leader, to be a spiritual follower, you are submitted. You are submitted. We don't like the word submission, but it's a great word. It's a powerful word. And it's even better when we act it out, when we do it. But submission is the act of humbly yielding to the will of authority of another person. That's how order is maintained. That's how organizations build, by yielding to one another, by coming under another person's authority. Just as believers, we're submitted to God. We humble ourselves to the lordship of God, realizing that we're not in control of our life, but we humbly submit ourselves to God. And so as a leader, as a follower, we humbly submit ourselves to our leaders out of respect, out of understanding our role and the part that we play in the assignment. And so that's important. And then also collaboration. Collaboration is the act of working with someone to create something. We collaborate, meaning the follower isn't doing it on their own, the leader isn't doing it on their own, but there's partnership, there's collaboration, there's teamwork in achieving this. And then lastly, execution. It's so important that you have the ability to execute what your leader is asking of you. The power to carry it out and to put it into effect or action. That you understand what you need in order to do it. That you ask for the things that you need to do it, right? That you're constantly learning and training, developing your skills to be able to do it. And that you do it in a timely manner. So you see how much goes with execution. It's not just doing it, but making sure that you can do it in excellence, in a timely manner, in the way that you've been asked to do it. And so when we look at the role, responsibilities, and outcomes of a spiritual follower, we begin with the fact that the follower is in fact a follower of a spiritual being. So it goes both ways. Leaders have to acknowledge that their followers are spiritual beings, but as a follower, you also have to realize that your leader is a spiritual being, and you have to also lead their heart from behind. Okay? It's leading from behind. Is having the intuition and the discernment to understand what your leader needs because you have also taken the time to get to know them and what it takes to be a great follower for them. This is especially important for middle managers who play dual roles. You're not just submitted to, I'm sorry, you just don't have a team of followers who are submitted to you, but you're also submitted to an executive leader. And so that can be a very tough situation to navigate, but you have to have the courage to be able to ask for what you need, but to also be from your leaders, to ask for what you need from your leaders, but also be empathetic to your followers and finding that good middle ground. And this is also for supervisors, but as a follower, you may also, consider yourself as an executor. You execute your task and responsibilities and your duties with excellence, and you are a servant because again it comes back to doing this, to fulfilling your role as a duty, as a service to others. When we're talking about responsibilities of the spiritual follower, okay, your responsibility is to promote and develop personal efficiency. Think about that. To promote and develop. It's like, hey, this is what I can do. If you need this done, I'm the right person. I can handle that. But it's also realizing, I really can't handle these things that well. I need to go learn something. I need to go learn how to better use this software, or how to better manage my time, or how to communicate more effectively. All while contributing to your organization or team's productivity. It's not stalling, it's not putting things off, it's not dropping the ball, but it's learning to do all these things well at the same time so that, your team doesn't miss out on something or they feel like, you're not pulling your weight, but you're all working together. Another responsibility is to act ethically and loyally. This is important, and I mentioned this here with followership and not so much with spiritual leadership, even though that is the expectation that spiritual leaders perform and act ethically. But when it comes to a leader and understanding that this is a contract, that it is an agreement that you're making with your leader, that's with the understanding that what you're being asked to do and carry out or execute is ethical, that it doesn't cause you to have a moral dilemma or jeopardize your freedom, okay, your job, your ability to work and function, okay? And so it's important to know that as a spiritual follower, that doesn't mean you go along with everything. It doesn't mean that you put yourself in danger or other people around you because of what you've been asked to do. But you do have a responsibility to act ethically and to have the courage to address the things that you need to address when it doesn't seem that what you've been asked to do is ethical. Okay. And also to remain loyal from the standpoint that you're not sabotaging tasks or assignments or the organization. You're not going behind, your leader's back and doing things in a way that is not um, in par with the vision of the organization or what's beneficial to the organization. But you learn to address anything that would prevent you from being ethical or loyal. And then, of course, your responsibility is to commit to excellence. That's right, because you work in teams, you're being asked to deliver, and people should be able to expect that you're going to give them the best that you have to give. Now, remember, excellence is a mindset. Low performance is not the opposite of excellence. I'm going to say that again. Low performance is not the opposite of excellence. And you might be saying, how can you say that? Of course it is. No, mediocrity is. Mediocrity can be is a mindset. Mediocrity is a mindset. Low performance can be coached. Low performance might be a training issue, a skill issue, an education issue, the fact that you don't have the right models or the right tools. You can do something with that. Mediocrity, that's harder. That's harder. And when you have people with a mediocre mindset that they can just do whatever, doesn't matter. What's the big deal? I'm just going to do the least bit here. They're not paying me to do all that. It jeopardizes the reach, the effectiveness, the sustainability, and the trust that people have. And not only you, but your organization as well. And then with outcomes, okay, you can expect that through effective spiritual followership, that there's going to be an improvement on morale, and you're going to help contribute to a nurturing organizational culture. Because everyone understands the role that they have and the part that they play in doing great things. And is also going to enhance leadership. Because again, there's an agreement here, there's a partnership. And what you do to enhance leadership enhances followership, and what you do to enhance followership is just automatically going to enhance leadership as well. And then that's also going to help promote more effective delegation of tasks and assignments. Because when a person is showing what they're capable of doing, they're showing and exhibiting commitment, and working in excellence and performing and being efficient, you can delegate more to them. You can delegate more. And so that's helping the follower as well as the leader. And now the third perspective here is heartpreneurship. Heartpreneurship. And this is that and the three main elements or characteristics of heartpreneurship is self-accountability, alignment, and growth. Whoo, self-accountability. We need more of this. All of us. All of us. In Paul's letter to the Corinthian church, he said, judge yourselves lest no one can judge you. Meaning, if you first hold yourself accountable, if you first look at your faults and correct them, what can anyone else say about you? No one else should point out your faults quicker than you point them out yourself. Because there should be a repetitive and constant desire to assess what your strengths and weaknesses are, where are the areas of your life that you can grow in, that you can develop in. It's your ability to also say, I made a mistake. Gosh, I did this wrong. This needs to be corrected. I know that this is going to cause us to not maybe deliver on time. I know that this might cost us some money, but gosh, I made a mistake. And if we don't fix it, people could get hurt. This could ruin our reputation. It could jeopardize more things. And that can be very, very hard to do. It takes a lot of courage to do that. But that's the importance and beauty of self-accountability. And it's that power to accept responsibility for your life, your decisions, and your behaviors. Don't we need more of that? Yes, we do. And then there's also the idea of alignment here. Alignment, agreement, synchronicity, congruency, okay, between your purpose, your position, that role that you have, your partnerships, those relationships that you have, right? And principles, your values. We want alignment with all of that. And when we have alignment with our purpose, our position, partnerships, and principles, we experience more fulfillment. We're happier, we're content. You don't feel like a fake. You don't feel like a fraud. You're authentic in who you are. And that is a spiritual thing. That is truly a powerful spiritual moment for you to have and to experience is the congruency of what you know God has created you to do. The work that you have, the role that you have, the position that you're in, with your relationships in alignment with what you know God has created you to do, and that your principles and values reflect that. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that what you want to have and experience? I certainly do. And I'm so grateful that at this time in my life, I have that. It's a blessing. It's truly, truly a blessing and nothing to take for granted. And then that third element that we need to look for and exhibit when it comes to heartpreneurship is growth. It's a commitment to personal development and discipline. And discipline requires correction. And when we have both that commitment to development and discipline, what we then experience is optimal well being, hitting all those dimensions of wellness. So let's talk about this a little bit more. So, here with heartpreneurship, the role is the fact that you're a spiritual being, all in yourself. You're a spiritual being and you're a leader of oneself. You're also a servant. You're serving yourself and the assignment that God is giving you. You're leading yourself. Not that you're your own king or queen, because I pray that you're submitted again, like I said earlier, to God. But it's still this ability to lead yourself, to say, gosh, you know what? I haven't been getting all the rest I need. I need to make adjustments in my schedule. That, gosh, you know what? That conversation could have been a lot better. I need to um, demonstrate better tact and take more time to plan and really think about the conversations I need to have and how I can better do that. It's saying, you know what? This project right here is not in alignment with my purpose. I don't need to do that. I don't need to put the time, the resource, the energy into doing that, knowing that that's not in alignment with what God has for me. That's not in alignment with the mission and vision of this organization. I know I shouldn't do this way. That's unethical. I know that I need to be integral. Oh gosh, I could go on and on and on. But when you know your role, that's what comes as a result of knowing who you are. And then your responsibilities as a heartpreneur, that personal spiritual leader, is to identify and pursue one's purpose. You gotta know. You gotta know. And if you don't know, pray about it. Pursue opportunities for you to get an understanding of what you are called, what you're created to do, that only you can do. Mm, because that's the truth of it. I don't want you to look at me when I say this. God created you to do something that no one else can do. That's why it's so important for you to know who you are and to walk in your own identity in God. Because for you to pretend to be like someone else or desire to be like someone else or to do what someone else does and to do exactly the way they do it, it's disrespectful to who God created you to be. Be you. Know who you are and all the gifts and talents that God gave you. The different characteristics of your personality and your quirks. All of that was on purpose. It was meticulously designed. It was carefully planned. It was intentional. Everything about you is intentional. God didn't make a mistake in making you. So if you feel out of place, if you feel like you don't fit in, that you feel out of alignment, it's probably because you are. And it's not that you're wrong or not suitable or there's, not enough. You are enough. You're just in the wrong place. You're just around the wrong people. You're just doing the wrong thing. But when you do find the right thing, when you do find the right place, when you find the right people in alignment with what God created you to do, that's where your fulfillment will lie because your spirit will be satisfied. Mm, it's true. And I really pray that you grab hold to that. You are remarkable. You are incredible. You are needed. You just got to find your right place. Okay. And so when we talk about the responsibilities, there's also the responsibility to deepen one's spirituality and practice spirituality in every area of your life. Every area. Not just at home, not just in the community, not just while you're going about your errands, not just at church, but at work too. It's so important. And to serve with a vision of faith and love. Not just faith, not just love, but both. And then outcomes. What can you expect from leading yourself well? Well, you can expect an enhancement of leadership and followership, that you'll be able to operate in that capacity within organizations or groups of people or teams in a much better way because you better know who you are. You're doing the hard work to become a better person and to be in alignment with your purpose. And you're going to see that as a manifestation of your personal fulfillment. Isn't that what you want? Yes, that's what we all want. And another outcome will be sustainable contentment, or I just like to say the joy of God. Sustainable contentment. You won't have days where you're just one day you're depressed, the next moment you're overjoyed. You're gonna have a sense of sustainable commitment. Well, commitment, not commitment, but contentment in your life. And I know we all want that. And that comes with knowing who you are and walking in alignment with your assignment. So, y'all, that's the spiritual journey. Now, I did talk about heartpreneurship last, but I want you to understand that that's the foundation. Heartpreneurship, knowing who you are, self accountability, the growth that we all, want to have, and that alignment, it is necessary. It is necessary to you being a great leader. It's necessary to you being a great follower. And then as you become a even better and effective leader, then you're going to be able to become a better follower. And as you become a better follower, you'll be able to become a better leader. That's how that goes together. And that's the journey because we never know all the things at once. We'll never know everything. We'll never ever have it all together. We'll never reach a point where I'm the best leader, I'm the best follower, I'm the best heartpreneur. No, we're constantly growing. We're constantly understanding. We're constantly learning more about ourselves and others and about God and how it all comes together. And so I pray that this episode has truly blessed you and just open your mind, your heart to understanding who you are and how you can truly become a better leader, that how you can truly grow in spiritual leadership and how you lead yourself, how you lead others, and how others lead you. Okay. So let me know your thoughts and comments. What is your takeaway from all of this? If you have any questions, feel free. Oh my gosh, I get so tongue tied. Feel free to put them in the comment section as well. Okay. But I pray that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Please be sure to join me tomorrow for episode number 3, which is the last episode in this series, The Spiritual Journey of Leadership, where we're going to talk about leading their triple bottom line, not just managing it, that's important, but how do we lead it? How do we create thought leadership and vision around these 3 important priorities? Okay, not just important elements of organizational um, policy and planning and all of things that we do, but really the 3 priorities: people, our planet, and the profit. Okay. So that's it, y'all. I pray again that you have just expounded your capacity, that it has expanded, that you are just like, yeah, I can take this and I can run with it. I can, there's some things I need to reflect on and improve on so that I can really tap into my spirit and be the spiritual leader that God has called me to be. That's my prayer for you. Okay. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And remember, in everything you do and with everything you have, love God and love people.